Okay, so I just want to talk about what happens when a realtor sends a buyer your way to get pre-approved so that we can start looking at homes. What's the biggest objection you would say you get from buyers?
I think the number one objection is typically people don't want their credit to be ran. There's this misconception that, if you get your credit checked, your score is going to drastically drop.
Right.
There's definitely going to be a hard inquiry when we check credit, but it's not going to be any drastic drop in your credit score. So typically, once I explain to the customer that we check your credit once, it's good for 4 months. We can use the same credit report for 4 months. Kind of the walls come down.
Yep.
Yeah, and they're more likely to let us check their credit. The other thing is Prime Lending offers is we now have something called soft credit check.
Oh, great.
Yeah, which is amazing. So someone who's like maybe borderline credit in between like scores because they've paid off some credit cards, they're waiting for that to get updated.
Right.
We could do a soft pull to start the process, but then once everything is paid, then we could do the hard inquiry.
I have a question. If somebody says, oh, I have a credit monitoring system, can't I just screenshot it and send it to you and you use that as a rough estimate right now? Does that work, or do you hear that a lot?
I definitely get that. Typically, when I ask someone, can we check your credit, the first thing's like, I have 780 FICO, I promise. And so two things. One, when the consumer checks their credit, it's a consumer report, so the FICO score is slightly different than when we check the credit report.
Right.
And two, it's not necessarily so much for the FICO score. Sure, the FICO score is important, but the most important thing is I want to see what kind of expenses they have on their credit report, which ultimately determines what they will qualify for.
Right. Yeah, I can see that being an issue. And then, of course, interest rates. I would imagine everyone you talk to says, I don't know if I want you to run my credit right now because, interest rates are so high, I probably am not going to qualify anyways. So how do you deal with that objection?
Yeah, that's probably the second most common objection we get. But there are a few ways we could kind of tackle the interest rates right now. One of the most popular things is doing something called buy downs. They're temporary buy downs. There are different kinds. There's the most popular one right now is the 2-1 buy down. Basically, that reduces the interest rate by 2 points first year, by 1% second year. And the whole idea of having a temporary buy down because the market's changing and we all know that the interest rates are going to improve in the next couple of years. Yes. So I think just having a better payment for the first couple of years while waiting for the rates to improve, and then you could permanently refinance to a much lower rate.
And so when you say 2-1 buy down, there's a percentage that they put up front now to buy the rate down so that their monthly payment is lower.
So they could pay points themselves, the client, to buy down the rate. However, if you're doing a temporary buy down, it's typically paid by the seller.
Okay.
So in a transaction, Cassandra's very familiar with this. She'll build the seller credit into the contract, and we could use that seller credit to pay for the buy down.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so lots of options out there. Buyers should not be scared to get approved. Definitely want to do that first before you go out and start looking at homes so that you're ready to go. And Sarah at Prime Lending is here to help get you guys pre-approved. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Cassandra.